Outdoors Delmarva covers everything outdoors,
including real hunting and fishing situations involving wildlife.
We do our best each week to bring you tasteful content.
But viewer discretion is advised.
Now enjoy the show.
This is the Outdoors Delmarva White Marlin Open Special. From the marlin capital of the world, here are Jason Lee and Lauren Hitch.
Ocean City is the home of the White Marlin Open, the world's largest bill fishing tournament.
And the tournament is typically slated for 5 days, with teams permitted to fish 3 out of those 5 days.
But sometimes the weather offshore can be as much of a challenge as reeling in a winning fish.
And that weather caused a 2-day extension for the 52nd annual tournament this year.
Our buddy Kyle Orens of WBOC News went out in search of further explanation as to why.
How we doing, Delmarva? This is Kyle Orens in Ocean City, and the White Marlin Open is here. This year, though, could be a little bit different, at least in terms of safety. The tournament has been extended throughout this weekend because of some of the rough conditions that boaters could be seeing out at sea. So this is just going to give them a couple of options, a little bit more leeway to determine when they do and don't want to go out. As you can see, I'm actually on board a boat right now. This is Fireboat 1. I'm with the Ocean City Fire Department, and God forbid anything happens to some of these boaters out here, this is one of the vessels that could be used to go out there, get people off board, make sure they're okay, and just be able to provide that immediate care out here on the water instead of having to bring them back onto land.
A lot of the captains in the White Marlin Open are experienced. They're very well versed in handling their vessels. But the White Marlin Open extending additional fishing days really shows that they care about the safety of the crew, of the vessel. And that really lets other folks know, hey, if the White Marlin Open is extending the fishing days because of the rough conditions, maybe it's something that you should also pay attention to. So every morning when our firefighters and paramedics and EMTs show up to work, we have a briefing at 7:15. We get the weather conditions, we get the waves, the high risk, if it's going to be rip currents or heavy, for our rescue swimmers. So it's about keeping informed, and when someone like the White Marlin Open makes a decision to extend the fishing days, it's definitely something that we pay attention to.
Quick look at the screen, you see the winds coming out of the east. And one of the problems with that is the waves have plenty of time to build up because they're coming out of the east, which is a very big ocean. If we have wind coming off of land, it's not quite as bad, you know what I mean? Because what's going to happen is the waves have a chance to be blocked by the land, so it takes a little bit longer to build. But when wind's coming from the east or the northeast in the Atlantic Ocean, it just has that much more time to build up waves in a high wind situation, which is what we have all week this week. You want to know what you're getting yourself into, right? Because here we are in Ocean City, but these guys are going 60, 70, 80 miles out. They have to know what they're getting themselves into before they get there.
You know, conditions at the beginning of the week, and as they always do, they're constantly changing. Today was definitely a doable day. I think maybe almost 50% of the fleet fished today. We did decide late last night to hang out today and go ahead tomorrow. They extended the tournament for the weekend, which is the first year they've ever gave us a full weekend. Obviously, you want to be safe with everyone on board. There's a lot of money on the line, but there's a lot of wind out there. So you got to pick and choose your days. Also, you know, fishing for these fish in the wind is a little more difficult. Lighter line, lighter baits. The wind has, you know, a tendency to dictate where the baits go. So you have to kind of fish in certain directions that you wouldn't normally want to go sometimes. So it makes it a little more difficult. There's a lot more variables fishing in the wind for sure. It's a big week, you know, one of the biggest tournaments around. There's a lot at stake. You know, with the wind and everything, it's going to make it interesting.
The Outdoors Delmarva White Marlin Open Special will return right after these messages.